welcome to our program. You hear the audio a little better now. Today we're going to deal with the 11 things average people complain about that don't bother highly intelligent minds at all. Okay, so this is something that an underlying dichotomy in society that we see, or well, you see it, but you pick it out. And I guess to some people it causes strife, but anyway, we'll continue. So this is a nice little article here on MSN. It was released 3 weeks ago, and let's go into it. So the first thing that intelligent people don't mind as much as non-intelligent people is that about others being rude to them. Right? It says average minds may replay rude encounters and take them personally or vent about them later. It feels natural to want an apology for being treated poorly. Highly intelligent people usually recognize how rudeness says more about the person who is being rude. It's simple. In other words, it's not your problem. It's the other person's problem for being rude. That's their limitation. It has no reflection on you, right? So you see, but this is the thing people don't get. People are always criticizing others, putting others down, but that's really just your person, not yours. I don't know if you do that, but it's just really a person's trying to deal with issues of their own. That's their own issue. It has nothing to do with the other person. The other person is there to blame. It's a tool. They're a prop in your world and imagination, simply. So we use other people to deflect on. And we find, and to, just like they do that, the devil made me do it, to blame things on. Oh, I did that because so-and-so did or said this or that. This is a very common thing that many people do. The people are, obviously, there's more people who are low in their intelligence level, and these are the ones that do this mostly. And so they will find, and this happens in marriages as well, one blames the other. It's always a blame game. And even when the person did it, I've seen this a lot of times, especially when counseling marriages, where, one partner is always blaming the other. It's the other's fault, etc., etc. The other said this. There are times where the one of the parties in a marriage never complains about the other, never puts down the other, etc., etc. Hardly ever, right? But when the day that it happens, of course, they're the ones that do it. And the one who has always done it never sees that they do it, and they never admit to it. But they're always putting down the other party when, the other party really doesn't do that, doesn't return the favor, if you will. So this is unjust. It's injustice. And again, the people who do that are self-centered, usually low IQ, low intelligent activity. And we see that a lot in marriages. I remember one couple that the hubby would always put down the wife. Always. Even the wife was garbage, this and that. She don't understand. Blah, blah, blah. The worst thing to happen in marriage. And then it came out, before we take clients, I have them fill out a questionnaire. I have each party fill out a questionnaire. So then a moment of uncomfortability, I will say it that way, and then the wife says, "I'll fill this out for him." And I looked at that, didn't say much about it, but then I realized, oh, wait a minute, this guy doesn't even know how to read or write, so that's the issue. And said that's why the guy, the male, is putting down the wifey because she can do things that he cannot, and so then he has to compensate and put her down for that. And the thing, a lot of people do that, not as drastically as that, but similar to that, the same idea. You talk about people that in one way or another are better than you or equal. And that's also something. That equal, they do the same thing you do. That's why you don't like it. Now, you're not doing this consciously. You don't realize that the person that you're criticizing is just like you, does the same thing you do or thinks the same way you do. You don't realize that. But when an educated outside observer looks at both of you, they will be able to see, oh, well, this is another version of you, the same thing. This is why you don't get along, because you have competition. Either someone that's head-to-head with you or someone that's better than you in one way or another, and that's why you talk about them. That's why you put them down. Intelligent people don't need to put anyone down because we understand, where you're at. It's like, why are you going to put down a 2-year-old child for not knowing college algebra? It's ridiculous. So intelligent people don't do that. They don't put other people down because simply everybody's wherever they're at. Whatever level they're at that level. It's a simple thing. And intelligent people will do what they need to do, and this is a mark of greater intelligence, is to educate. It's just simply, they're not going to be college level, a 2-year-old, but simply if a person's older than 2 years, obviously we're not talking about an actual 2-year-old, but if a person is mature and yet they are acting or behaving in a childish manner, the educated person will feel behooved. In other words, will feel obligated in some way, even just to be kind, out of kindness, to help the immature person to understand a few things at their level, right? So to help a 2-year-old mind get to the third grade, that's a great feat. It's a great feat, and it's something that an truly intelligent person would do. Now, a person that's sans intelligent, which means that they are not intelligent at all, but they're faking it or they're trying to be intelligent, that they don't want to be bothered. I don't have time for that. This is that. He's just stupid. He or she's stupid. They're unintelligent. They should have went to school, blah, blah, blah. This arrogance and impatience is not true intelligence, right? It's just simply, I read this in the book and you guys don't understand it, so that's too bad. That's your problem. So that's it. There's a lot of people go to college, and just because they get a degree, they think they're intelligent. No, college does not produce intelligent people. Okay, college just educates the student enough so they could pass a test or write somewhat intelligibly, and even then it's not guaranteed. I've seen people writing a bachelor 4-year degree. They simply don't know how to write. Very poor. They don't know how to spell. They don't know how to use the spell checker on the darn computer, for goodness sakes. These are your college grads today, very poorly educated. And you can see it. You see it in the nationwide. You see it worldwide. There's very bad education, poor quality education going on in the world today. And so you see the results of that. That's what we're seeing. It's very easy to see and to pick out. Okay, so again, intelligent people do not get offended at rudeness, and they don't get personally offended, because simply it is a lack of education on the other apart. It doesn't matter. Oh, they're talking about me, and that's what a fear that many people have. But again, intelligent people do not need to have that fear, simply because those who know you will know that that's not you. Number one, and number two, the people who keep carrying on a false comments and that sort of thing are not people you want as friends anyhow. So again, it's a revealing exercise, if you will, of who you have around you that call you a friend, and then they're actually believing, garbage from this other person out there. Okay, so again, that's what it is. That's how intelligent people roll. Now, the weather. A lot of people complain about the weather. They say, oh, it's terrible. It's raining. Why is rain terrible? I've always laughed at that. Why is a rainy day terrible? People see it as it's a bad day. It's a terrible day, it's a bad day. Only because, since they were children, it was the type of day that you couldn't go out and play. So you develop a mentality that the day is bad. It's a bad day. It's terrible weather. It's actually great weather. The rain brings life. It makes your fruit trees, if you have any, perk up, and it makes the crops, waters the crops. They get a cool, nice drink of water. It helps all the process on the planet to support life. And so it's really nonsense to call that bad weather. But you hear it. You even hear it in the news and whatnot. Oh, we're having terrible weather today and this and that. It's just ridiculous. It's just as good as the sun. For life to be existing on this planet, we need both sun and water. We need the rain. And so let it be. Enjoy each day. It's on you to enjoy each and every day. Simply, no matter rain or shine. Bad weather can easily throw off someone's mood or plans. Cue the complaints about rain, cold, or heat. It becomes the reason everything else feels off for a lot of people. Highly intelligent individuals see the weather as a factor, not a force that controls the day. So they adapt. So there are things that you do in the with sunny weather, which is mostly what we do in Florida most of the year. But then there are rainy days. There are rainy moments and rainy days. This morning it did a little bit of rain here where we're at, but we're out there. At least the children are out there doing their daily chores. Right now that it stopped raining, so it just simply you move and modify according to the weather, but it's never a bad weather. It's all good. So it's something that we do teach the children here, in fact. Next, number 3, people disagreeing with them. Many people get frustrated when others don't share their views, right? And you get blocked. Isn't that funny? These guys like on social media, you don't agree with them, they block you. That's a sign of an unintelligent person. Okay, it's their problem. Anyone who doesn't want to listen to my program, that's on you. It has nothing to do with me. That's on you. Some people will say, no, it's too boring, it lasts too long. Again, those things are your problem. I have no issues with it. Education takes a while for many of you, and most of you are not educated simply because you don't have patience. You don't want to sit through and listen, take notes, for goodness sake. You should be doing that now, but you don't, because we tend to be lazy about learning and education. So that is a factor right there. It has nothing to do with me. I'm like a book. I'm like an encyclopedia. What do you're if you're going to be a child in a library, you say, oh, these books are boring. The books are not boring. You simply do not attach value to the great abundance of value that these books represent. And that's a fact of life. The books have great value in them. You can do a lot with a book. Look at what I'm doing with an article. It's a simple article, and I'm turning into something of value, something else. So I'm making use of what somebody else would pass by and say, that's boring, I don't want to read, I don't want, as children do. Isn't that childish? But you have adults doing the same thing in their own way. Again, this is childish behavior. And I like to point it out to people because they need to understand. You are a child. You think this way, you're a child. It's very important that people start understanding you are not the age you say yet you are. You're the age that you have in your head. And if you're acting like that age, 2-year-old, 4-year-old, look at the way 2-year-olds talk. Hear them. Look at their perspective. And if you can see adults thinking the same way and doing the same things. So what does that mean? It simply means that the adult is depicting childish thinking processes and behavior. And that's a cause of many issues in life. Simply, somebody is acting childish. Someone is attending to childish things. And unfortunately, a lot, this is the issue with these video games a lot, that the video games tends to tie you and bond you to earlier times in your life when you were thinking as a child, reasoning as a child, and many of you do childish things as an adult because of it, because you're surrounding your life and basing your life on the childish gameplay that you had. So there's a lot of debate on that. But again, I see clearly what I see. Intelligent people are usually more patient. This is number 4. A lot of people don't like to wait. I'm constantly telling these kids that we're raising, wait. You gotta wait. And when an adult shows impatience like this, they are being absolutely and more than just childish. We have children that we deal with that are autistic. They're not mentally developed well, right? And they will be impatient. They don't want to wait. So again, is this a mark of an intelligent person, not wanting to wait, not able to wait? It isn't. Simply, it is not. So if you are having issues with not being able to wait, delaying gratification is a big thing. This is why people make a lot of mistakes. They get into trouble because they're unwilling to wait. And part of that, it displays in their ability to save money. They're unwilling to wait, so they have to spend. The check comes in and they've already spent it. And there's no savings had or anything like that. This is, again, a childish behavior. It's simple as that. You have to see it simply as that and make adjustments if that's something that you do. Just set aside. This is a great thing about the tithing teachings, though, as a side note, that the tithing teaches the individual to set money aside. This money I can't touch. It's not mine. It is for something else, and it teaches saving. And that's a good sign of intelligence and maturity. It begins to force you on various issues to wait. So if you can wait, that makes you more intelligent. It's a sign of intelligence. And so that is where everyone, if you go to a church that is teaching tithing, it's a good thing that it's there. It's a benefit. And then it's no mystery why people are going against tithing, right? Where did that come from? Biblical correctness? I don't think so. Okay, so we know that the tendency will be eliminated. Hey, listen, biblical or not, the tithing is teaching a good thing. And I think everyone should be practicing it. If you're not tithing to a church, well, you should be tithing to your child's college fund, okay? But tithing should be done. It's saving. That's it. Save it. Okay, very good. Now number 5 is fairness. Fairness is important, but some people focus on it obsessively. Every slight, every imbalance, every perceived injustice becomes a source of complaining. Highly intelligent minds accept that life isn't always fair. That's part of life. Everything is not going to go your way. That's part of the game, right? So we win some, we lose some. I've heard throughout my lifetime silly comments by people, judgments. Oh, you should have done this by now. Oh, it should be this way for you by now. Obviously, you're doing something wrong and doing something that's not right. We have people that are religious, founded in error, though. Also, they say, well, if things aren't working out for you, it must be that you're doing something wrong. Because of course, everyone that's in Christ or in the right religion, everything should be perfect and everything should be prospering for them, because we're supposed to be prosperous and XYZ. It's everyone can't be prosperous, because then there'll be no poor people. And even Jesus says the poor will always be among you, because someone has to be poor for someone else to be rich and to be prosperous. So what are we to say? That only the rich are blessed by God, and those that don't have at that moment or whenever, they're not blessed by God. They're what you call it, despised by God, or that they're continually sinning, doing something wrong. The type of mentality, again, the thinking that goes into that, it's very easy for people to get into, and it borders line on self-righteousness. Oh yeah, you see, I'm blessed. I'm doing everything right. I mean, these are false assumptions and conclusions. I've always seen it. It's not based on anything. Yes, was Abraham blessed? Yes, he was, right? But there were others that were going through bad times. Look at Joseph. Was he blessed when he was in the prison? No, he went to prison. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if as a Christian you went to prison? Yeah, everybody will be turning their backs on you. He went to prison. He's guilty. He sinned against God. God has abandoned him. And the same thing they did with Jesus Christ on the cross, right? He's done. He's a criminal. That's that. So again, these are things that we really shouldn't be engaging in. We just need to, the bottom line so far is that each person should examine their own selves, and that's it. Stop judging the other person. It doesn't matter. So the other person is in a problem. There's other person going through their rainstorm at the time, which is good. A lot of good comes out from bad things. So, just let it be as it is, because we're not no one to judge. We have our own lives to take care of. So stop judging the other. Do the right thing yourself. And most of you, that's your challenge, right? Because most of you don't do the right thing for that person. Most of you leave the person that's struggling to struggle. You leave the person that's suffering to suffer. They're not blessed. They're doing the wrong thing. They're sinning, and that's it. And that's our excuse for not doing the right thing, which is to help. Now, there's ways to help. You're not going to just give a piece of food to someone who's hungry. What you want to do is help them, get connected with continuing help, education. Help them get up on their own two feet, and to be able to provide for themselves in the future. I mean, that's the right thing to do. But again, we're busy with our own lives. We're doing our own things. We don't have time for this. It's the same thing we mentioned before about criticizing the ones who are not as educated or intelligent as we are. Same issue. There's no difference here. It's just a different, one goes hungry, and in the other one, was rude. It's the same thing. There's no difference here, except that, hunger and rudeness are two different symptoms. They're two different states. And arguably one is more painful and more full of more suffering than the other, obviously, but it is in fact the same thing. There's no difference between them in that sense. All right, after fairness, we have 6, people being unintelligent. It's common to get annoyed, as we mentioned before, by others' mistakes or ignorance, especially online or in group settings. And we see that a lot in the apologetic community where, the science based community, atheists, clobber the faith based communities simply on their lack of scientific knowledge. Then I go in there with my abundance of scientific knowledge. I make them look bad, and then they're clobbering me, with all types of denials and excuses and whatnot, and they insist that I don't know science when I'm showing them the articles. And then where are they? So it's simply, again, people, they get upset, and they want to justify. They want to look intelligent by putting someone else down. What is it that I do? I simply present the facts, and I show the articles, and that's it. It's there. Now, other people come in to defend the atheist. That's all they're doing, because they really can't put down the articles. They can't put down the science, but they can always put me down. They can always label me ad hominem, which is to insult the other person. They insult me. They say you're dumb, this and that. You don't understand science. All these things to put down the truth that was shared to them on social media. This happens a lot on social media, so you have to be careful how you deal with social media and understand that this is what's going on all the time. Intelligent people rarely waste time insulting other people's intelligence. They understand everyone has different strength, and they tend to approach confusion or gaps in knowledge with curiosity, not contempt. Again, curious. Well, why do you think that? That's always a great question for an intelligent person to ask someone who is saying something that, they deem non-intelligent or not well informed. Why do you think that? See, this is an inquiry. It's how did you come to that conclusion, And because if you're intelligent, you should be looking for that moment where the person says, in a figurative way, right? We'll use an example, because 2 plus 2 was 5. And so when they say something that right there, oh, wait, you said that 2 and 2 is 5? And so that's the reason why you say what you're saying, or that you believe the way that you believe. But look, put your fingers up, on your hand and count 1 and 2, right? So you got 1, 2. Now count the next 2, 3, 4. Did you see? It's 4. 2 plus 2 is 4, not 5. So that was a mistake. See, and I did that. Basically, I did the reverse of that with a Muslim person that was, in a deli. They owned a deli, and it was often the Christians that went in. They would talk to them. They're friendly people, and we will have some certain, debates here and there. Not debates, not angry debates, but, each one positing. Mostly what the Muslim was saying, that everyone's entitled to their opinion, right? And so I said, well, and then when I walked in, they say it was okay. The emphasis was that it was okay. So when I walk in and I hear this conversation, and they come to me because they knew I'm a minister, and they say, "You come, please. Isn't it right that you guys have this opinion, this way of believing, and we have this way of believing, and that's okay." And I all I did was shook my head, in the negative, and he looked, like, why am I shaking my head? No, I said, how can you say no to that? That everyone is entitled to, what they believe, and that's okay. Because that was his emphasis. He was making emphasis that it was okay. And I shook my head again. And then he says, then I asked him a question. I said, 2 plus 2 equals what? And they said, equals 4. And I shook my head again. And I said, no, And he said he was in disbelief, and he was saying, "How can you say that?" Here, and he put up his fingers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and he said, "It's 4." And I shook my head again. I went, "No." And then he says, "Then what is it?" He asked me, and I said 5. How can that be? And I looked at him and I said, because I believe it. Isn't that okay? And he smiled at me and he laughed. They all did. And he said, you got me. And I said, yeah, I did. So it basically, he had to realize that his thinking, although it sounded right, it sounded good, was actually not right. And that shows a load of truth. It brings a load of truth to a person in a friendly way. There is no Christians against Muslims and all this type of confrontation. There was simply education, and that is the key. Especially when someone is intelligent education is had. Okay, so there's no excuse. So when you see somebody bashing someone else over the head, you don't know nothing, you're stupid, you're an idiot, blah, 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 well, then that is not educational. That is not educational. And when there is intelligence involved, the person obviously, that should not happen. So again, intelligence is always teaching. Non-intelligence is always criticizing and putting someone else down. There's people that don't even know anything, and they're putting someone else down. Why? Because they feel, competition. We go back to the married couple that the example I gave you before. That someone is really actually dumb, but acting intelligent. 7, oh man, this is a big one. Boredom. Ooh. Boredom is a frequent complaint when life feels repetitive and understimulating. I always tell this to the kids. You're bored because you yourself are boring. The book isn't boring. Reverend Rosado is not boring. It's a very intelligent conversation we're having even here today. But because you are boring, you have limitations in your understanding of things. It limits what you can do. It limits how you enjoy life and what things you find enjoyment in life. So that is really a reflection on your life, on your limitation. So again, when you hear somebody say, oh, I'm bored, or this is boring, or when you feel bored, that you're bored, then this is a sign that you need to wake up and smell the coffee. Because people go to school, they go to college to learn how to educate 2-year-olds, and they become 2-year teachers of preschool, teachers of elementary school. These are children that have limited scope, and so how can we not recognize that that's where the root of boredom is, simply in limits of scope. And if we don't have someone who has a vast scope of understanding to teach, to provide these children with something new and to develop their brains further from where they're at in their boring state, then society will be in deep trouble. And so we, as adults, you should never, I don't see any reason that an adult is bored. That is really sad. That is totally sad. I mean, I for example, in my own life, there's so many things that has to be done. I don't have time to be bored because there's always things that need to be done. There's books to write. We're doing a documentary right now. There's problems to resolve, as we did with the audio issue and now with the live broadcasting issue, which for me is quite impossible that you guys are watching this and hearing this right now, because we couldn't do live broadcasts out here in the country. Now we're able to do that. So this is an incredible feat. Again, always looking for a solution, always continue to do the battle. There's no time for boredom. So boredom just means that you're not doing the right thing. Highly intelligent individuals are rarely bored. They are often deep in thought to explore ideas and observing subtleties of the world. Their inner world is so rich that even the quietest moments offer stimulation. Very good. 8, small talk. Oh boy. While many people roll their eyes at small talk, seeing it as a meaningless or waste of time, intelligent people look at small talk as a way to connect to people. But I want to point out another reverse view of this. It's when you go to an intelligent person and then you try small talking with them. You know, that is hilarious on its own degree. I mean, you do have something more important, more weighty on your mind, don't you? Yeah. I mean, I look at some people and say, you do have the ability, because I've watched them before, I've seen them before, and they do have more to them than the small chit chat that they come to you, to at least to me with. It almost tends to be offensive. It's like coming to me and saying "goo goo gaga, goo goo gaga." So what are you trying to do? Oh, it's just small talk. I'm not that small, and neither are you. So I think that you got to be careful also. Small talk and chit chat here and there depends on the person you're approaching. Don't try to chit chat like that. Give them something bigger to bite on. And usually the best way to do that, by the way, is to ask a question. Don't go into small chat. Find out what the person is focused on at the moment. And it says, is there anything in news or anything that's on your mind really at the moment that you're thinking about, that you've been examining or contemplating or planning what in your life? And in that way, at least you get the person to speak about themselves, about what they're thinking about, what they're doing, what they're planning. And that is a way to connect. It's very, very quickly you can connect to a person. And obviously, if they begin to speak about something you have no understanding of, oh, wow, I wish I could understand that thing. Is there a simple way, something simply entry into that to give me a foundation on what that area of science is, or area of whatever, and how would we, what would be the main obstacle for a person like myself to really to begin to grasp the profundity of the area that you're talking about in particular. I mean, there's ways to do this. I mean, and is there a reason? There's a reason you don't want to say that you don't know about this. This is something new to me. This is rocket science. There's no embarrassment about it. We can't know everything, So again, this is a great way to connect with people is finding out what they know, what they're doing. And if we don't know anything about it, well, to elicit some education, because if they're intelligent, they should be able to educate on that, and to be able to share. They love it. It's their love. It's their passion. So they should be able to connect with you on that. I mean, with me, it shouldn't be hard. If you want to connect with me, what should I talk with Reverend Rosado about, so that we can connect on some level? Well, let's see. Do we have to put our thinking caps on? You understand? It should be simple. This is why I'm amazed at the attempts that some people made for small talk with a minister. I mean, come on. I mean, is it that difficult? Let's deal with Let's deal with the easiest verse and the hardest verse of the Bible, Genesis 1:1. Come on. We could talk for hours on that, right? So, I mean, it's not that difficult. So I think people need to you really just look at what you're doing, what you're trying to do, and think about it before you open your mouth. I think thinking before you speak is a very good thing. Not getting credit. It's easy to feel slighted when your efforts go unnoticed, especially in a group work or professional setting. Many people want acknowledgement, and when it doesn't come, their resentment builds. And again, these are for people who are in a competitive mode, in a social context. They want to be recognized for whatever it is that they said, what they did, what they're doing. And intelligent minds let their work speak for themselves. And in social media, like I was telling you about the apologetics, Apologetics, by the way, is the defense of what you believe in, right? So whatever you believe in, you are defending it. You are providing what you call like an apology. This is, in other words, why you believe in what you believe. So that field is called apologetics. So on social media, as we're doing our apologetics, you get a lot of these ad hominems of people who don't agree, people who are not intelligent, and they throw everything except the kitchen sink. And if they could do that on social media, they would. They throw it at you in their comments and in their replies, and they begin to talk trash about you in social media. So, but where are my comments and my replies are intelligent, right? In other words, they are what they are. They're articles, they're science. The other person says it's garbage, blah, 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 but that's what they're saying, and everyone else can see and check for themselves if what I said was right. Is it science? And then they see that the other guy is a fool. Why would you do that on social media? Say foolish things. Again, people are not thinking. People, when they're on social media, they just think that they're talking with so-and-so, and that thousands of people are not looking at what they said, and that they're not checking. And I can agree that the majority of them will not check, right? But then there are those that will, and then you look like a fool, a total fool, by responding foolishly in the way that you did, or the way that they did. So again, I don't need anyone to recognize me. I don't operate that way. It doesn't matter. What do you think of me? It don't matter to me. Same thing when I would preach at a church or a conference. Everybody's giving me congratulations. It was a wonderful message. Or, it's a great teaching, blah, blah, blah. And I look at them and say, well, it's God's stuff. This is not my stuff. It's not things that I created. It's God's thing, so I'm just commentating. So it doesn't matter to me if you look higher at me or lower at me. It has no effect on me. I am what I am and who I am, and that's that. That's the end of the line. It doesn't matter what other people think. So simply, it just doesn't matter. All right. Now, am I involved in continuing to grow, to educate myself, to develop the things that I've started, to do projects that have some meaning and significance to other people's lives? Yeah, that's all that matters to me. I could care less who agrees, who likes it, who doesn't like it. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, when Paul wrote his letters, he wasn't looking at no 1,000-member church, at no great following. He could have used a great following there, and they weren't there. He wasn't able to help him. Didn't help him at all. Doesn't matter. He just did what he had to do. That's that. This is what God told me to do. I'm doing it, and that's the end of the story. People say what they want to say, think what they want to think. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. The only thing that matters is what God says, okay? And he's reserving comments till the end of time. Okay, let's go. Now, 10, things going wrong. When things go wrong, people get stuck in shock mode. And getting stuck is always something. I hear also the children say that a lot. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. When they can't do something. I have an autistic child that couldn't open a bag of potato chips. And that's his favorite thing to eat. So, after we helped them a bunch of times, I came to the point where, well, right now you're going to have to learn to open that bag of chips. I'm not going to open it anymore. I'm telling the other kids not to open it. You're going to open it. You want it, you like it, then you will open it yourself. And we did that to him. I think he lasted a day and a half until he started to be able to he had weak hands, so he couldn't really open it. But he got stronger hands now, I'll tell you that much. But again, if we don't do that, he will never develop. So that is the way you gotta see things. You gotta go work your way through difficult times, difficult moments, challenges. These are challenges. We'll get through them. Just keep trying. And the only thing that you shouldn't do is give up. Never give up. Continue. Keep trying. Don't stop. Keep insisting. And most importantly, in education, in understanding things and people, keep trying. Don't give up. It's the worst thing that a human can do. And the last and final thing that many people complain about, but not the intelligent, is being challenged. What a way to finish, right? Yeah, it's a challenging moment. People say, oh, I just can't do it. They don't want to, most people feel challenged to grow or change. They say, I am who I am, like it or leave it, right? This is a defensive reaction that actually says, don't expect anything different or really more from me, right? Highly intelligent individuals rarely cling to fixed identities. They understand growth is life and are open to feedback even when it's uncomfortable. So yeah, so even though when they criticize me, I always look, well, am I wrong in this science? And I go looking. I say, well, somebody here that sounds half intelligent is telling me that I'm wrong in my science. So then I go and look again. I've always done that. And am I challenged? This is one person also that I think about. We had a discussion a few years ago that the Y chromosome, the male chromosome, what makes a man, was fading away in the human race. And that person is a nurse, and all her studies, she never came across that. I've never heard that. So she said that almost like not denying it, and not like what you call it, like saying that I'm wrong, but the character is a type that needs to see it to believe, a Thomas type, right? So yeah, so I left it at that because I didn't have my articles at hand. It was an article that was had a little time to it. So, and this has been about 2 years or so. So just yesterday, the article re-emerges, or a new article saying the same thing. It is the discovery of how the Y chromosome is fading in the human race. And so I quickly shared it with the person. So hey, this is what we talked about a while back, and here's the article talking about it. So basically, again, I don't have to, I'm not saying that I'm right all the time, but I am surprised that I would say something that wasn't correct. Because I'm usually very careful. If I say something, there has to be some evidence and proof about it. And even though, but sometimes when you're talking, you don't have it at hand. So am I right or am I wrong? I'm always checking. So I'll always go back and check. Well, I said this now on social media. Now I have to go back and check to make sure that what I said holds water. And frankly, sometimes I can't find it again. This is one of the one statements that I hold on to. I still hold on to it. I know came from a professional document, and I have not been able to locate it again. Okay, but I'm holding on. I'm holding on because I know I'm not crazy. I know what I read. I know what's there, but I don't know where it is now. So that's one of the things I have to improve upon for myself. I'll admit I have to improve. And everyone should have things that they need to improve. If you don't have something you need to improve, then you're not really doing yourself justice. You're not doing yourself any justice at all. And so one of the things I need to improve is that especially when I'm online, I need to be able to bookmark and save text, from websites, things that are from an article, from a professional scholarly text or whatever, and I'll be able to quote it later and have the link. So that's one thing that I have to improve upon, and I'll probably add that to my social evangelizer software. That's a vital thing, especially when you get to the level of proving the things that you're saying and things that people, and especially that you're defending, you really need to have links ready, things that are put up. Not that most of the people debating you will be reading it, but at least you have it. You can say, well, here it is in case you want to read it. Here it is. And so that's what's happening there. Okay, so that's it. Those are the 11 things that people complain about that intelligent people don't. And that's it. I hope that you enjoy this little, it's not a little, it's taken what? About an hour. That's pretty much a lot. But I thank you for watching. Again, this would be, if it's all good, it would have been the first full broadcast, live broadcast out in the country where I can't get connected otherwise. And thanks to God and to a servant of His, we're able to do that right now. So that's great. We thank you. Keep my wife in prayer. She has come out of a operation and she's doing fine. And we got the update just a few moments ago. And so that is wonderful news. Keep us in prayer, the children and the family. And you have a blessed day. Have a blessed day. God bless you. And until next time, this is Reverend Rosado for Talk Radio.